an adventure to me, and it still is, and my interest in life and wanting to understand life.
Yeah.
For me, it was wanting to know people, understand people, and I didn't kind of know, even though people are saying, you got to stop moving so much, you got to don't do that. I didn't really recognize those limits.
And when you started that kind of journey of kind of going, this is how I want to do things, and also I guess probably a good thing from not going to film school in terms of this is how you do it. You found your own way of doing it, and you found that you wanted to absorb all these different kind of the learning. You're going through your own film school, really.
That's exactly it. I just kind of created my own film school, and I could see it from different points of view. Everyone had a different point of view of what the film was. From the editor, cinematographer, the filmmakers, the audience, and different artists about their perspective on what storytelling is, what works for them. And I got to see it from their point of view and evaluate it, what is that for me? I was never someone who would, my experience with a story or a movie is my experience and what I feel and what I recognize. And then I sit in audiences, I'm like, did you have the same experience as I did? That's why I like cinema and the collective group of all of us together and sharing this experience together and bringing our own lives and our own stories and then experiencing it. I'm not someone who would read something to know how I should experience it.
Yeah.
Whatever art form it is, whatever culture it is, it's I want to know for myself. I've never been someone to take someone's opinion. I'll listen, but I want to evaluate things for myself. And that's how I felt about movies. And the things that I would do is, and I still do, I study people's careers and I studied the history of movies and how they're made and, and kind of pull from that and see what things I felt worked with cinema and how do I build an environment where it's creatively, rich and how do I do that? So every kind of little door that opened, I would bang the door open and push harder and be willing to make mistakes, be willing to evaluate why some things worked and why it didn't. So I would take a director and I'd look at what elements were involved in making that movie work: the editing, the cinematography, the score. Now I was very fortunate because here I am, 18 years old, and I was able to go and I made a list of the filmmakers that I wanted to meet. And I was like, I'm going to meet these people. I'm going to interview them. And at that age, and when I did TAPS, I was very fortunate because I remember Kevin Huvain's here, and CAA was a very new agency. They had half a floor, and they wanted to represent me. And I was like, I interviewed my agent. I was like, here's the goals that I have, and I want to meet these filmmakers. And I studied who CAA was, and and I knew when I did TAPS, there was interest in representing me, and I didn't have an agent. And I was like, okay. And they were very helpful. People were very, very helpful. So I was able to interview Scorsese, Sidney Pollack, Newman. I met Hoffman when I was young, and Spielberg, and every step that I made, I was constantly, I studied movies, and then I studied the studio system, and then I studied distribution, and I would force the studios to send me to countries when I was very young. I was fortunate because I knew I had certain marketing consultations, Now, when you're 20 years old and you have marketing consultation, and I'm sitting at these desks, they were not excited to have me sit in those meetings. Who is this person? I was always I said, look, I don't know. I just want you to teach me and learn and see what you do. So I was then they started opening the doors. They realized I'm not trying to tell them what to do. I want to understand.
Yeah.
And I like to understand things and just put all the pieces together for me. And I wanted to go to these countries, and I would force the studios to send me to countries, and I wanted to understand, I wanted to see their movies with them, and I wanted to see the films that I made with them to see how is it communicating. Again, kind of a lifelong journey of how do you feel about life?